Years ago, I remember going to Cootamundra in New South Wales, and the clerk of the court there showed me the record of the birth register, and it recorded on the 27th of August 1908 that you were born in Cootamundra.
That's right. I think it was a place called Adams Street.
But you didn't actually live in Cootamundra for very long.
I don't think that I lived in Cootamundra at all. I think when I was born, we were living on a little property at a place called Yo-Yo, some distance out from Cootamundra. My mother went into Cootamundra for the birth. But I don't remember living in the township. And of course, we left there to go to Barra when I was about 18 months, 2 years old.
You've always been a sort of private person, and many things are written about you. And strangely enough, there seem to be many and varied things. They're not always true. And it's said that you had a sort of lonely childhood. Now, that doesn't seem to be true when you look at your family.
Not lonely in the sense that you use the word lonely. It is true that where we lived in Barrel, we didn't have any boys living close by. But I had lots of young friends at school and otherwise. It was just when I went home after school in, say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I used to amuse myself by playing or doing some gardening, chopping some wood or doing the vegetables or something like that.
You had the most famous water tank in the world, after all, didn't you?
Yes, that's right. Well, we had no town water supply in our Barrel in those years. We depended entirely on rainwater for everything.
Mm-hmm. And you organised a sort of a game that you played.
That's right.
What was it, with a golf ball, was it?
Yes, a golf ball, and I used a small stump, threw the golf ball at the brick tank stand with one hand, and then held the stump in the other hand. And as the ball rebounded, I gripped the stump in two hands and tried to play a shot.
Well, how often could you hit it? I mean, it was pretty hard to hit anyway.
Oh, more often than not.
Mm-hmm. And you think this sort of built up your sort of reflexes for yourself later on?
Well, there's no doubt that it did. But, of course, at that time, I had not the slightest idea that this was happening. I was only doing it to amuse myself.
And I saw a film later on where you used to throw a ball against a fence, the rim of the fence where it used to come back at odd angles.
That was in the bottom rail. It was a two-rail wooden fence. And it was in the paddock next door. Mm-hmm. And I used to throw the ball at this rounded rail. And, of course, depending on where the ball hit the rail, so the ball came back at various angles. And that was good fielding practice.
But how did you get your sort of experience of knowing about cricket in those days? There was no television, no radio, and perhaps the only source you may have had was newspapers.
That was the entire source. Of course, my father was keen on cricket, my mother liked the game, and her brothers liked the game, so in the family we used to talk about it, but the only source of knowing anything was in the newspaper.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.